Israeli archaeologists made an incredible discovery in a site some have called the location of Armageddon. And does this discovery give us tangible scientific evidence of the biblical events described in Second Kings and Second Chronicles concerning a famous king of Judah? Well, to discuss, let's bring in Israeli tour guide Yoav Rotem, who joins us now from Jerusalem. All right, Yoav, we'll get to Armageddon in just a second, but right off the bat, what did they find?
Shalom, Raj. So basically, it's a super interesting finding. For decades, this site has been excavated by an expedition from the Tel Aviv University, and even before that, before in the beginning of the 20th century, we have a University of Chicago excavating over there layers of civilizations in a site that is located in maybe the most important junction in the area, the center of the world, referring maybe to our last video together, how the roads and the important junction and the location of this land made it so important. All the eyes on this site, Megiddo, because when you control Megiddo, you control basically who goes up north and down south. Having said that, or saying that, to explain that in Megiddo for years they're excavating, and what they found lately are findings that actually proving the existence of an Egyptian army. They found some remains of vessels that were not, I will say, in the street language, were not cooked well, or someone brought it over there, but probably not people that wanted to sell it. It wasn't of a good quality. So it gives us a clue. Maybe these are vessels that were brought by an army, dated to the end of the 7th century BC, which is exactly the time when Pharaoh Necho and Josiah had met in this important junction. Again, the Egyptians are coming to take over a junction or the land from the Assyrians that were controlling there for a while. And this brings us actually the meeting between the words of the Bible to the reality and the ground, that proving us again the existence of Pharaoh Necho army coming and meeting Josiah over there. By the way, Josiah was not the first king that died on fighting this important area. King Saul found his death not far away from there, on a mountain called Gilboa, which he was fighting with the Philistines, who came also from the south to take over this crucial, important, the Valley of Jezreel, or the crossroad of Megiddo, which is super important for traffic and for controlling.
And I think you're emphasizing a really amazing point that's kind of maybe hard to contextualize if you've never been there. But to get from, the Egyptian Nile River civilization to Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates, you basically have to go through the land of Israel. And there's one kind of really famous choke point where the mountains are just so and so, place called Megiddo, where, I mean, you tell me, I think the Tell has 20 layers of civilization, something crazy like that,
Over 20 layers.
which is absolutely insane. But I think what's so cool is that the seemingly insignificant details, this Egyptian pottery, this quickly made Egyptian pottery, you actually start to piece things together. And it's like, wait a second, this lines up perfectly with second. Let me ask you this. My biases aside, does this discovery validate or disprove the biblical narrative?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. First of all, the what we know from Assyrian control and then Egyptian coming, so it's planted into exactly to the timeline that we already know. And yeah, I mean, like that's what we expect to find, and finally they found it. It was a glimpse of Egyptian control that came over there. And he was not the only pharaoh who came over there. We know of another one who came a little bit earlier, but that's for a different story.
So that's what gets me fired up is the biblical archaeology that just validates the Bible. But now I got to get you in trouble, Yoav. Now we're going to make at least someone upset, which is this the location of what the book of Revelation calls Armageddon?
I'm not the first one that is going to say. I follow greater professors and scholars, Christian scholars, and I recommend actually. Can I recommend a book to read? There's a chapter about it in a book called "Windows into the Bible," written by an amazing scholar called Mark Turnage, and he writes about all the reasons, um, or trying to explain the importance of Armageddon and bringing it basically how, in John could not know Megiddo, or didn't know Megiddo, and it was not known, and there's a lot of reasons why the combination of words over there is not what we, the tour guides, like to tell the tourist about Har Megiddo as Armageddon. Moreover, in the scripture, you will never find the word, I mean, you won't find the word valley. I will ask you this. When you think of the end of days battle, what comes up immediately to your mind before you visited the land? What makes sense? I mean, most people will say Jerusalem. And I think it's not by coincidence because there are a lot of the narrative and the whole story that we follow in the Bible takes us over there, and not by coincidence, because that's the place. That's the place where the temple, where maybe Har Moed is located. And if you listen to the context, or the name Har Moed can be very close to Armageddon. Maybe there's a play with the words over there. I don't know. That's my answer. But I will say this.
You're ruining a lot of people's Instagram posts when they've tagged themselves as Armageddon in the Jezreel Valley.
But Raj, don't I don't want to take it from them just like that, because we just mentioned one of the greatest kings of Judah, who almost seems to be like I'm saying it as a revolutionary king, a king that brings back everyone to God and take the idolatry. His death is so traumatic in a way that it's very understood why Megiddo is such a spiritual way, a place for dramatic battles that happen.
Mm.
So this is why maybe the people of Armageddon want to bring it over there, and that's I mean, if you want to take it there, take it there. But maybe I will say something else. It's Passover next week, and we're celebrating Passover in Israel. And on verse 23 in the same chapter that Second Kings, it's chapter 23, the whole story of Josiah is told and the death. They're talking about a Passover because of what he did in Jerusalem has been celebrated like a Passover hasn't been celebrated since the time of the judges. And we're we're talking about almost like close to thousand, no, less than 1,000 years. But that's I hope that this Passover that we're going to celebrate in Jerusalem will be a Passover that hasn't been celebrated since Josiah's time.
And how
Next
do you
week in
wish someone
Jerusalem.
a happy Passover?
Pesach Sameach.
Pesach Sameach, an
Yes.
early one to you, my friend.
Thank you.
I tell you what, brother, you are a wealth of information. You've guided me many a times in Israel, and you just bring things to life, brother. So I know it's extraordinarily late in Israel. Your kids need to go to bed, but I appreciate everything you do for us, buddy. God bless. Good night, and toda
Thank
rabah, my
you.
friend.
See you in Israel.